Okay, we now move on to the filler yard of the layout. Now, the filler yard is basically where I'm going to be storing all the locos and the wagons and rolling stock, and also for my controllers and switches in order to operate the trains and the points. So, when I actually read up about the filler yard, I noticed that there were a few things that the Reverend Audrey had to take out or had to fix with his filler yard. For example, round here there was originally meant to be a cross section where where it was meant to be like these sort of like crossover joints here, but apparently these actually took up some valuable space, and they weren't really used that much here, and so he ended up taking them out. He quoted that crane shafting was actually a lot more easier to change the trains around. Another thing is that, which I'll talk about in a second here, is the movement of the controllers. So here marked down the track plan is OCP, which stands for Old Track Plan, and here CP, not track plan, OCP, Old Control Panel, and here CP as Control Panel. So basically it was just the change of the positions of where the controller is. Now I'll go into more details about that there in a wee second here. But as the layout progressed here, when Daisy and Mavis came along, there was some more sidings added. So there was an extra siding added here, and then there was another one here. Now, these ones here are mostly for like the passengers and goods freight here, whilst these ones here are mostly used for the quarry trains. So, right, I'll give you a wee look at what my filler yard's like. So here we are. Now, it's gone for a bit of a change now since you've seen it in the last video, but as I said, we've moved ahead of time now for this one. It's because we're on a bit of a time schedule to try and get the layout ready in time for the next show. So, first of all, I'll talk about the controllers, as I mentioned before there. Now, originally in my last video, you saw that I had a Gauge Master D model controller, which was sitting right there. Basically, I've used this controller for all my layouts. It was the same controller I used for my exhibit layout and also for my Ffarquhar one, in replacement for a Hornby one, which I sent in for repairs but didn't get it back in return. So, I used the Gauge Master one because the Gauge Master has really nice smooth controllers. They send the right power into the trains and you get really nice smooth running from them. And I just find they're very good controllers. But the problem was, though, that this, what I had here, now this actually did happen with the Reverend Audrey, and the reason why he moved his controller up to the middle section was that when it came to operating the trains for, like, the uncoupling systems, I'll talk more about uncoupling systems in a sec here, he couldn't quite see where the magnets were. He couldn't quite see whether the locos were over the magnets or that, because he was restricted to a certain viewpoint. And so he had to strain over the layer at some points, which was not really quite good to do at exhibits, but there you go, it was a bit of a problem. So he ended up transferring his controller from over here to over here, which is what I've done. Now, as you can see here, I have a different controller for this one here. Now, that's because that in order to have a controller set up here, it has to be a smaller one. Now, I did try making my own one, like the Reverend Audrey did with his one, using bits of old radio dials and bits and bobs like that there. I've actually went and bought the Gauge Master Combi controller, which is just the small controller that they have in their catalog system, in their stock. Now, this controller is really, really good. Again, like the D model here, that it provides really nice smooth running for the locos, which is something I really want when it comes to shunting. And also, it's lightweight. Now, this is actually on a little removable platform here, as you can see. I have the wires going for it here. The main cable wire just goes up through the sheet of plywood and just down the side here. There's a wee notch I've cut there just to feed the wire through, and I'll just sit down there. But yeah, I just find these controllers really, really good. So what I actually did here, so that originally I had both the station tracks and the outside tracks linked up to two separate controllers. So what I've done is I actually combined all the track's power just to this one controller, so that all movements on the layout will have to focus on this controller, so I can only operate one train at a time, which is okay. I don't mind that at all, because that's what the original layout was when it came to operating. So, on the next subject of operating here, what I have here in the fill yard is, if I just move this aside here, you'll just see it here. There's these wee bits in the track, these wee switches here. Now these are isolating switches. Now what these do is that there's a little notch. I don't think the camera can pick it up quite well. That's as close as I can zoom in here at the minute. But if you look very carefully right there, you might just pick it up and see it there. There's a little cut there in the rail. Now what that switch is doing is that it's actually transferring the power from the track to the other side here. And this is good for when it comes to holding locos, more than one locos in one single stretch of track. This was all like before DCC was invented, and this is the way that they used to do. They used to do it back then. So here, so say if I wanted to have like Mavis's quarry train would be parked here. So I would have Mavis park her quarry trucks here, but then when I switch the tracks here and I want Percy to, you know, maybe go on the straight here like there, and I switch these points back, you know, there's going to be power going through the rails here. So what I have to do here is I actually just switch that off. So that cuts all the power to this section of track, so that Mavis will remain static here, and Percy and all can go about, you know, he can get his stone trucks and all, which will be there without any hassle. Same thing I have for up here as well. So there's about 5 in total along here, so I can hold up the 5 locos of the Ffarquhar rolling stock. So I'll give you a demonstration of it in another video, but again, we're moving on ahead of time here, so we'll come back to that there in another video. As I mentioned earlier here, the layout has an uncoupling system for the wagons and coaches on the layout. The one that was used by the Reverend Audrey is called Sprat and Winkle. Now Sprat and Winkle, this is what it is here that I have modified Hornby open wagon. This is the Sprat and Winkle coupling. This is a newly fitted one actually here. Basically it's just a little hook which drops down every time this link here is in contact with a magnet hidden underneath the tracks. Now, really, you're meant to have a chain attached to this instead of what I have, but the links in the chain tend to fall out every now and again, which again the Reverend Audrey wrote down in the article in Railway Modeler. So, what he used as a replacement for the links is a bit of bent sewing pin. But here, what I've done is something a bit more cheaper. You can get more of it here, and that's basically a stationary office staple taken from a stapler. So basically just dispense it out from your stapler, just in a simple way. And what that also does is that actually creates the links for you, which is very good, very handy indeed. So then what I did is I just slightly enlarged the hole a little bit in the hook, and then just threaded it through and then just glued it in place. And that does the job very well, really well indeed. So there's magnets in different parts of the layout where I need the trains to uncouple. Now, when it comes to operating, if you're having a layout that operates on a certain timetable, you need to work out where exactly you want your wagons to uncouple. So, bringing up the track plan again here. I won't have time here to just show you it all here. I've got about under a minute left here. So just quickly just run you through as to where all the magnets are. So there's 2 here in the coal and oil sidings here, one for the coal, one for the oil. There's one here in this siding which is for a brake van. Here there's one for uncoupling the goods van and the cattle van when it comes to rounding it here, because they have to go into this siding here. Then there's one here for uncoupling the passenger trains and that. And I think there might also be a spare one just here as well. There's also 2 here for, of course, the goods depot and the cattle dock. So they were basically hidden underneath the tracks, and we'll believe the trains in there. So again, in another video when I'll show the layout in operation, I'll show that it was working. Okay guys, I'll see you in the next video here. and take care. See you soon.